Thomas and her daughter refused to accept the young defendant's son into their family because they believed that Miss Arbster was fooling around with other men and now has engaged their son in a paternity trap because he is too gullible. However, the baby mama had this take on the whole situation.
Ms. Armster, you are here with the plaintiff's son, Mr. Griffin.
Yes, Your Honor.
You believe you were pregnant by Mr. Griffin before you had sex with another man, and the only reason his family is denying paternity is because they hate you.
Yes, Your Honor.
With disorder in the court, the judge cleared up the room by asking if Miss Armster was sure about being with the plaintiff's son only during the time of conception, and the defendant affirmed that there was no other man. Listening to this, the judge moved to the alleged, who had this response.
During the time of conception, who were you sleeping with?
Him.
Do you believe that as well, or do you have some doubts?
Well, I have my doubts as well because I wasn't around her a lot of the time during the conception of him and what she's saying, but I don't think my family would lie to me and, tell me anything wrong to set me off track.
Wow, that was confusing. But what was more topsy-turvy is that Mr. Griffin was there through the whole pregnancy and was present at the hospital. But he refused to sign the birth certificate after getting a call from his mother. So, did mommy change his mind?
I did not sign it because of what my mom said. I signed it for my own reasons. I didn't know for sure if he was mine or not. And I didn't want to have to go through a lot of things that people were telling me, like it was going to be very hard for you to get the name changed or do a lot of things if he's not yours and you find out all late.
Okay, if one may not get emotional and take a moment to think of a valid move, nonetheless, they were not being cold, but just cautious. Auntie and Grandma had even taken in the young baby mama, which she seemed to forget.
I would want to see her do well. And on top of that, if that's my nephew, yes, I'm gonna step up as an auntie and help raise my nephew. But we have no choice to be here today for a paternity test because of the rumors and how she carried herself as a woman.
Still, Miss Armster was not ready to understand their side of the story. I mean, she herself had told them that she was with another man. Clearly, the way the plaintiff was acting had to do with the baby mama's past dealing with men. But can you blame them?
In your mind, there's no one else that could be the father of this child. You're certain of that.
I'm certain.
And
Other guys
since
that been
Cameron's
my
been
mom,
born, have they treated him well,
No.
like family?
No, they have not. They don't have to want him. The only reason why he got a DNA test is for him.
Even the baby daddy told the court that other men were claiming the baby to be his, and they popped up at the defendant's house to see how their baby was doing. Shocker, right? Why did you leave that out, Miss Armster?
You're claiming that 4 other men are claiming
Yes, it
to
could be others out there. as
It may
well.
be others, but she's known.
You know,
as
they
Miss
got all
Keller.
this time on their hands. I don't see. They got all this time on their hands. I ain't see it.
Let's get some order.
Well, that was not just it. The defendant's own sister was shaming her around the town, saying all sorts of things about her and her baby. Still, both sides wanted the baby to be Mr. Griffin's, as they had grown feelings for the child. Let's see if the result will finally set the record straight or not.
In the case of Thomas and Fields versus Armster and Griffin, as it pertains to 5-month-old Cameron Armster, Mr. Griffin, you are not his father.
There is no papa play in young Kingston's life because his alleged father blames his mother for cheating on him with her sugar daddy. But Miss Lean knows what she was up to and wants the paternity dispute to end once and for all.
Mr. Green has been denying my child since day one. He's been denying him for 3 years. He has never came around like he's supposed to. I have to call. I have to do so much to get this man into my child's life. But at the end of the day, I just want him to step up.
Further, Mr. Green told the court that he had done his best to meet the mommy halfway, but his attitude was just so cranky that he maintained his distance from both the baby and the mama. That sounds decent, right? Well, the bummer was that it was way far away from the truth.
She knew I had a girlfriend. She even tried to call
He
me
knew he had a girlfriend, so that's his problem.
So how did you explain to your girlfriend you lived in the house with Ms. Lee?
Oh, he couldn't. I called him, woke him out his sleep and made him start talking and didn't let him know she was on the phone until the end of the conversation to let her know, yeah, your dude over here and I'm pregnant.
So while he was far-flung, Mr. Green had moved in with the plaintiff and played both sides with a woman. This shifted the focus to the infidelity of Miss Lee, who told the court that it happened only one time. And in her defense, she wasn't in paternity court to win him back. the sassy woman owned her dirt and wanted to focus on the part of her son lacking his father.
So you're at the point that you've even had to sleep with him?
Right. Do you
To
remember?
get him to come around?
That's not true, Young. We didn't do nothing.
We did something.
She don't like nobody on which she wants me to
My
herself.
child.
Period. That's what it boils
all
down
he has
to.
to-
It's
he-
more than just a child. She
I'm
wants
not
me
asking
herself.
for money from him. I'm asking for time from him.
After this, the judge got to the conception part. It turns out that since they were friends with benefits, Mr. Green denied the baby right from the start, especially when baby mama had another man paying for the baby's needs.
I got you a good sugar daddy. My sugar daddy been there for 10 years, have never ever left my side. I would never leave him. He come way before this. We've never had sex before. You know, he might want some pictures.
But
See, Miss Lilt had no guilt about bringing another man into their equation, because according to her, the sugar daddy was more manly than him. So you can imagine why the defendant had such strong doubts about the baby, especially when plaintiff's infertility was stirred into the situation.
I told him that because
3
at the
years
end of the day,
straight.
I want to continue
3 years straight.
doing stuff with him, you know, without. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and I got pregnant because we didn't do it once. We were doing it for the whole month. So it wasn't like this is the one. You the only person I slept with. He took me to work and brought me back home.
All I can say is that this feud didn't have to linger for 3 years, as they could have gotten a DNA test way before this. That sounds simple, right? Well, it wasn't that easy getting tested around this mama, and the alleged father had a whole demonstration to prove it.
First of all, he was born on June 3rd. I went to the hospital. I asked the hospital, you know, can we go ahead and get DNA testing done, whatever. So a few days later going by, she's telling me, oh, it's too soon for him to come outside. He was just born, this and that. She refused right then, Your Honor. She refused every time.
Again.
Down the road, she refused every time.
I don't know if you found that impressive or not, because baby mama was not ready to play along. According to Miss Green, she was always up for the test, as it was about her son, and nothing was more important than that.
It don't take this long to get a DNA test.
was on
What
her.
he
She
wanted me to do was
procrastinated.
pay for it. I felt like we both had him.
I
You
told
pay
her I'd
half,
pay
I
half.
pay half. But they ain't got
But it
nothing to
just
do
feels
with it.
like, I mean, both of you are going back and forth,
We
back
are.
and forth. It's like a power play after power play. I mean, Kingston wants some papa play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even after all that out on the table, Miss Lee was persistent that there was no other possible father for her son. Yeah, because in her books, Kingston was the spitting image of her father. And when pictures of both were shown on the screen, her reaction was something like this.
Bingo.
She was
Don't they look like the
100%
same
sure.
baby? Look like the same baby. That's him in
That's-
the blue.
but once you seen the
and
picture,
my
that's
son
when she
right
felt
there.
more confident.
That's him.
But you can't
That's
just go off the
him.
picture, though.
So, Ms. Lee, at the end of the day, we know that the biology controls it all. That really it's about who you slept with, not who he looks like.
Right.
Yep, like it or not, looks can be very deceiving. That's why in this courtroom, we stick to DNA facts. Since there was another man involved in the picture, the resulting envelope was inevitable.
In the case of Lee versus Green, when it comes to 3-year-old Kingston Lee, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Green, you are the father.
Told you. I told you.
Miss Jones has dragged her father to paternity court to set the record straight for herself and the other two siblings straight. But in Daddy's defense, his rock star career came with a promiscuous package, and now he's not sure if he fathered any of his children.
I feel that it's a spit in my face and a disrespect to me and my mother, because I'm 37 years old. So all of a sudden, 37 years later, you need a test. When all the children that he had in his lifetime, my mother was the only one he was married to, and I think it's a joke.
See, even these startup testimonies tell that things are about to get messy. So Miss Jones believes that her father's doubt was spit in her face, which was too much for any child to bear. Whereas the defendant blamed his ex-wives for messing around with associates, which was the reason why they were standing in the courtroom.
Now, Mr. Jones, you argue you were a rock star, running around with many different women and have reason to doubt.
She had a male associate that was always over their house, you know, and her parents didn't allow me to come over to the house because they didn't like me because I was poor.
You heard Sir Victor. There's reservations in this matter. But his firstborn pointed out that it was his cheap tactic of leaving some of his children out of his will, because he had no idea how many women he actually slept with.
So there was another guy.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do you think he's denying paternity? What do you
His lawyer
think?
told him he needed a DNA test in order to leave his kids in the will.
That does sound about right. Nonetheless, Mr. Victor had no remorse about what he had done. In his defense, he was just being young and dumb. Listening to that, the judge pointed out that there were 2 young people outside who were possibly his and didn't know him.
His 60s, and he's catching you. All of a sudden, you got the case of morality, and you want to see, you hoping that some of these kids are not yours, so you won't feel bad about not being there. Just say what it is. You know what I mean? That's all it is in my eyes, and I think it's the ultimate disrespect.
After listening to this, the judge said what I'd been wondering from the start of the trial. How did he pull such an act? Well, Victor told the stories about laying up with women and appearing after a few months saying that he was the father, which was hard for him to believe.
Your Honor, I might have 7 kids by 7 different women. I'm not ashamed of that. You know, I was young, I was wild. I love them. They're beautiful kids.
He didn't request the other kids to come up here. Look, he just requested me.
Okay, in that case, it'll take a lot of testing. To make things clear, it was time to get Edward in, who told the court he'd only seen pictures of his alleged father, and this was his first time meeting him.
You've ever met or seen this man that could potentially be your father?
Correct.
What were you told?
I was probably like 6, 7 years old. I'd ask my mom, who's my dad? She had pictures and stuff of him coming over when I was like months old. She told me he has a lot of kids. You were probably like the least of his worries.
The second candidate in this mix was Miss Brown, who had only met her so-called father once in her lifetime. But with the assistance of her older stepsister, even Mr. Victor told the court that he was going to marry Miss Hobson's mother until his family stepped in and split them up.
And her mom was gonna move down to Georgia, but her kinfolks, they tricked her. They was gonna buy her a lot, but they tricked her. So she, instead of moving down to Georgia, she got with my coworker and started dating him. And so she told me Molly had a new dad now. So I love the mom, and I love Molly.
That is not the story I was told.
They had to pay for their parents' mistakes. With so much time gone, there's only one thing that can heal those scars of the past, and it's the DNA result. Let's get to that part.
When it comes to the paternity of 24-year-old Ms. Molly Hobson, Mr. Jones, you are her father. Mr. Clayton Edwin, Mr. Jones, you are his father.
Grandma here is sure that there's no way her son is the father of the plaintiff's daughters, while the teenage mom is sure who her baby daddy is. She even told the judge how the passing of her boyfriend and the denial of his mother was ruining her daughter's life.
These past 4 years, everything has been on me and my mother. My daughter is beautiful, and you missed out on 4 years. Not only me, not only me.
Single parent.
You're absolutely correct, but you were a single parent as well. You were a single parent. You raised Desmond by yourself. You raised Desmond by yourself.
Miss Page had lost her son, but it didn't soften her at all, as she was not ready to cut the plaintiff any slack. The woman clearly lacked compassion. She was adamant that Miss Lusk and her mother were only after the money.
I had insurance on my son. I had an insurance policy. They're out
that we knew nothing about.
No, unless it's proven, it's not my son's.
You never posted it on Facebook.
Miss Lusk.
Knew nothing about her.
It is your testimony today, Ms. Lusk is attempting to get a portion of that money.
Yes, Your Honor.
But Miss Lusk was not ready to put up with such claims. She made it plain in the court too. The plaintiff told the court how once the grandma had walked in on her and her son. Oh, quite a revelation. What have you got to say now, Miss Page?
When was the first time you physically saw me looking like an innocent child?
You asked to go to the school to see my child. You asked to go to the school. Of course she wasn't showing.
What a plot twist in the story. Miss Page, this isn't what you testified to the court. Still, she denied all and claimed not to know about the pregnancy. And that her son was involved with another woman instead.
They talked to her and to find out what was going on. She didn't look pregnant. She was holding her head down. She had no stomach whatsoever.
But at the same time, this was my first time meeting you, Miss Page.
Miss Lusk and Miss Anderson, my son didn't have a particular type. He was in a relationship.
The plaintiff's mommy testified to her recollection of the past, how baby mama was so invested in glorifying her son. And that's not all. She even went to the lengths to humiliate them by giving them a used baby walker while rubbing paternity doubt in their face.
I broke the news to her about my daughter being pregnant by her son. The very first thing she said to me is, my son is a legend. My son has women coming out the woodwork. She seemed proud. Once she suggested bringing over a used walker. We declined her walker, and she's publicly putting it on Facebook.
Wow, Miss Page, that is low. Please say that these accusations are false. Well, they were not. The woman was crazy enough to take the matter to social media. Like, what legacy was she promoting?
She inboxed me, and me and her went back and forth on Facebook.
You're absolutely. But what led up to that, Miss Page? What led up to that, Miss Page?
One at a time.
I know anything about a stroller because I'm not providing a stroller for a child that I don't even know.
It wasn't a stroller, it was a walk.
Turns out that the baby girl had Paige listed as her name on the birth certificate, so the father had claimed the baby. Still, it wasn't convincing enough for the defendant. Further, we got to know that the baby mama had no idea about the other woman in the picture.
In the case of Lusk versus Page, when it comes to 3-year-old Samari Page, it has been determined by this court. The probability of relatedness between Miss Page and Samari Page is 99.96%.
The plaintiff started his betrayal story like this.
Her personality, I really was intrigued by her energy. She's like the life of the party, but her mind is what captured. After finding out all the stuff that she did, I look at her like a dirty dish rag trying to wash clean dishes.
I know he didn't go there.
But the self-proclaimed cougar had no shame about her game. She admitted that she cheated. However, Miss Woods never imagined that she would end up getting pregnant at the age of 43. Still, she was adamant that the plaintiff is the father.
Sleep with his best friend?
I'm blaming it on the alcohol.
You're not the first in this courtroom.
The thing of it is, we had a little too much to drink, and everything is about being at my house, throwing parties, inviting everybody over to my house. And all this took place after I'm a mother of 11 kids before I had Trinity. So I decided at the age of 40 years old that I was gonna be the life of the party.
Even the judge could see how hard all of this was for the alleged father. Mr. Baker told the court how excited he was about having the baby. The guy was there for every little bit because he had no idea about the defendants cheating on him.
I was really serious about it. 8 months into the pregnancy, I get a phone call from her. Say she got something to tell me. Go ahead, just tell me what's good. She had a conversation with Jimmy, and that Jimmy admitted to her, not only that, she seen her in the club. This is stuff I didn't know. She all in the club, remember, she life of the party, dances. Yes. She even left the club with a dude.
Their own love started from a one-night stand, and then it bloomed into something permanent, adding a kid to the mix and making it a lifetime commitment. Or at least that's what Mr. Baker was thinking.
When she told me she was pregnant, I was excited. One of my exes, she was pregnant, had a miscarriage. The second time, I was actually in the hospital holding the baby. Found out that wasn't my child. So I refused to play the fool and go through that again without being certain.
He's not on the birth certificate, okay?
So he wasn't on the birth certificate. This brought up the conception part. So the calendar showed that she slept with men in the same proximity. That's why the judge called Mr. Dudley in. But when he got there, all hell broke loose.
I just try to look out for him, make sure you know what I'm saying, watch out for him.
Yeah, bro.
You
was looking out for me.
Yeah, bro.
How was you looking out for me? If that's the case, if you was looking out for me, why you didn't tell me?
I tell you like this here, it happens like that sometimes.
Why you didn't tell me? Why you didn't come to me like a real man and tell me?
Well, Jimmy claimed that he was actually trying to look out for him and to expose the toxic nature of Mr. Woods. Nonetheless, Mommy here refused to be painted as the villain in the story.
How you gonna expose me? You ain't want to expose me.
You look nice and everything. That wasn't what I was trying to do.
You know what it was? You couldn't stand to see me.
So hold on.
You got 11 children.
You want to break us up. My kids grown on their own. I only have 5 at home.
That man ain't got no kids. Why you trying to tie that man down like that?
Yeah, order in the court, please. The judge made it clear that there was no bigger person in this mess. It's just grown-ups making wrong decisions and little children paying for them. While baby mama testified she was sure that the plaintiff was the only potential father, let's see if she's telling the truth.
When it comes to 2-year-old Trinity Wood, Mr. Baker, you are not her father.
That's what I'm talking about.
Miss Santos was in a big mess as her secret baby daddy passed away. Plus, the family of the deceased father refused to accept the baby. Why were they doing so? Because for Grandma, the child was a betrayal of trust. And we know how that goes when such sentiments are involved. There is good drama coming.
It was such a secret because me and Raymond grew up together from Pampers.
Like cousins.
Like, that's why it was in our system, blood running through our system.
No, you don't have the same blood.
That's why it was such a secret. That's why I kept this pregnancy such a secret.
Baby Mama and Mr. Cologne were like cousins, and clearly they crossed a line mingling like that. But in the plaintiff's defense, they weren't actually related. Moreover, it was the alleged father who pushed Miss Santos's feelings. which the distressed defendant was not ready to buy at all.
Very disrespectful. You know, if he wanted to be with you, you should have told him, no, we're family.
No, he was so persistent on trying to be with me. And okay, I gave in.
So, Miss Santos,
So you just
we're not blood. We're
So
not
the
blood.
bottom
That
line-
was my whole thing. We're not blood.
but in the end, you did give in and you slept with him.
I did.
Yeah, I know it sounds pretty simple, right? Grew up together and fell in love. Well, it wasn't, as Miss Santos was cheating on her boyfriend and initially acted like Juju was his.
You were in a relationship with somebody else.
Yes, I was. And Raymond knew that.
Sexually active with that person
Yes.
as well as Mr. Cologne.
Yes, my case.
This was around the time of conception.
Yes. I told Raymond that I was pregnant or whatever because me and Raymond was really close.
If she believed another man was the father, then what changed her mind? Well, it turns out that her ex-boyfriend wanted nothing to do with Julius. This left both mommy and baby on the street, after which Mr. Cologne came to their rescue. Nonetheless, Mama Cologne mentioned a crucial part Miss Santos missed.
Then she was alone for a little while. She hooked up with another man that she was living, that Raymond was his friend. So Raymond would come out of work and go to their house to play little video games. True or false? So you were with someone else before you were Raymond.
Who is this?
Raymond is not the father.
Cologne being the baby daddy was a no-go zone for Mary Lou, because Juju looked nothing like the rest of the Cologne family. Furthermore, the grandma was adamant that if her son was a father to any child in the world, he would have never hidden it from his mother.
If he thought by any slim chance Julius is my son, let me go talk to my mom and dad and see if they'll help me pay a DNA test if I can be positive that it is my son. He could have gone to City Hall and signed his name on the birth certificate. If Raymond thought that it was his son, that it was definitely his son, he would have talked to us and told us.
However, it was revealed that the perfect son moved out of his home from Miss Cologne on Mother's Day. Later, she found out that Ramon moved just to be with the plaintiff. Well, that's a pretty clear sign of them being more than just friends, huh?
He put a roof over her head. Apparently, they were just roommates in the beginning, and then the relationship started. When I was told that they were living, no. They're cousins, they cannot live together.
So nobody except mommy and daddy knew about the affair, right? Well, that's the twist, as the auntie of Julius testified that her brother told her about his son, and that her mother was in denial, because in her eyes, her son wouldn't do anything like that.
Whatever she says, she's right, you know what I'm saying? But
Now that's a good daughter, isn't it, Miss Cologne? You know what side your bread is buttered on, right?
my brother told from beginning that day, you know what I'm saying?
There was a lot
And
of
he took
confidence
care of
between
him. Juju, still to this day, he asks for Poppy. And who's Poppy? My brother.
Still, none of this was convincing enough for the defendant, because in Miss Cologne's eyes, her baby Angel could do no wrong, and she blamed Miss Santos for brewing all the drama for money.
If he is, then we will help the child. And if it's not, so please leave us alone. Just leave us alone. That's all. If the baby is not Raymond's, leave us alone. That's all I want. You know, clean your hands with us and forget about us. She didn't lose her son. I did. He was my baby that I lost. I want to grieve my baby.
Confusion and negation are running too much in this case. Though the judge felt bad for both sides, it was clear all of this quarreling was the result of the potential father hiding the truth and baby mama not going for a DNA test before. But it wasn't too late. Let's get to that envelope.
It has been determined that Mr. Raymond Cologne is not father.
Little Jordan lost her chance at paternity when her potential father kicked her mother out of his house out of nowhere. So, mommy's in the court to set the record straight, because she knows that Gibbs is the father, and he can't back out baby girl so easily.
You're in a relationship. He's the one for me. Then he goes to a spiritual convention.
Yes.
And comes home.
Yeah, he told me he had to go because he was working on himself or whatever. So I was like, well, it's late. Can I just wait till the morning, just go to my grandmother's house? Because, you know, it was late.
It's middle of the night.
It was like 12, 1, 2 maybe.
So the gentleman here was pulling these antics on his girlfriend. Sounds odd, right? Well, the defendant had a valid reason for it. Turns out that Miss Phillips had chosen another guy over him at the party. That's why the moment he got back, the intolerant man got rid of her.
He kind of just ignores that I'm even there. I'm asking her, I said, hey, you going with me or not? So she want to stay here with the guy that I just got into an altercation with.
Why is it if you came to the party with him and you guys were together when there was an altercation, why didn't you leave with him?
I've been around that family for years, and I know how they work.
Okay, don't fall for this anticipation so fast, because Miss Phillips only stayed to defuse the situation. In her words, she had been on the same course for years and thought it would be the best move to cool things down.
Trying to keep it down because they was ready to go to the house.
So out of protection for him, you were just trying to diffuse it and say, I'm just gonna stay.
Exactly.
After that, it falls up. I go to Miami with a friend of mine. 2 days later, I get a call from a mutual friend that says she was involved in an event.
I called you and told you.
My mutual friend told me first.
Next came the promiscuous part. Mr. Gibbs told the court how one of his acquaintances told him about sleeping with the plaintiff, and even she confessed. But baby mama testified that she was no swindler.
Yes,
Originally, she told me that was her brothers, her real fleshly brothers.
Yes,
I asked her
I told
several
him
times.
all this. This is what I told him.
Ms. Phillips admitted to cheating.
Yes,
she told me that, but when I first got back, told me that she didn't. Stayed for about a month and a half until finally she broke out and said, yeah, I did cheat, but it wasn't with who I was with that night.
So the trust is going out the window, but you're still with her?
I'm still with her.
After that, trust was drained out of their relationship. None of them had respect for each other, especially the alleged father. He had stooped to calling his woman names and rubbing infidelity in her face.
What I'm gathering is
to God,
that this relationship was messy. You end up pregnant.
Yes. The question up is it mine? And I'm like, okay, you feel like it's not yours, how? We haven't unprotected sex since we've been talking.
But things didn't go better from there either, because Mr. Gibbs told that the mama at the podium made things worse by vanishing. When the judge asked Ms. Phillips' reason for it, she disclosed the mistreatment she had to go through. But this wasn't an excuse for the potential dad.
You go and take off 800 miles away. You go to Tampa. You down there. You done left me up here high and dry. You're not worried about me. I'm calling. I'm trying to maintain a long distance relationship.
So
but how much can I do this when I'm not at doctor's appointments? I'm not there doing the pregnancy of this child. the labor of this child.
The defendant was left out of the pregnancy experience. Based on these actions, Mr. Gibbs was washing his hands of the pregnancy. And even his sister backed up his assumptions. In her mind, no one should move away from the father for the sake of the child.
You don't even have a paternity test because they both were seeing other people. She was seeing other people and he was seeing other people. And he told me around the time that the baby was conceived or when she found out she was pregnant, it didn't add up. She was seeing other people and they weren't really together like that.
You were married, you were cheating, and you were tit for tat, and you break up, and then you get back together, and then potentially create a child, and still arguing about it.
The judge was right. All of this is just so messy. Both were doing things just to hurt each other, and their relationship was keeping the poor child from having both parents in his life. Time to get that result and settle this down.
Mr. Gibbs, this court has determined that you are her father.
That's it.
Miss Davis knows that too much lovemaking with random guys has landed her in paternity court. But for the sake of her son, Javion, she is ready to go down this ride. So, with 4 potential fathers on the list, Davis v. Smith started like this.
Mr. Smith, you argue that Ms. Davis actually told you were not her son's father. And you say you just had a brief sexual relationship and you don't want to take care of a child that isn't yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
The mother also grew up without a father. All of her childhood went from jumping from one foster home to another, and the pain of being unwanted was clear on her face. Even the judge knew how desperate this mother was.
Well, practically a hoe of myself when I was of that age.
It's okay.
And it just means everything to me for my son to know who his father is. I mean, my son's my world. I would do anything for that little boy.
But things were not this simple, as the mommy herself had told the defendant that he was not the father. And we all know how that spell works. Now he was sure that he wasn't the father. This brought us to the conception calendar, which had an accurate, explicit timeline.
You all basically spent a solid week being intimate. Were you using protection?
No, Your Honor. It was just a fling or, a holiday fling,
Apart from the ex-boyfriend, all of this was from the chat line. The baby mama got in touch with them and chatted a bit, and then you know what happened. The shocker was that Miss Davis didn't even remember the name of the 4th potential father.
Potential father number 4. Who is that?
He was a one-night stand. I don't remember his name.
After having this experience that you voluntarily participated in, you're not feeling too good about yourself.
No, I mean, I know I made mistakes, Your Honor. I don't consider my son a mistake.
That's a good thing.
Next, it was revealed that after getting a hardcore denial from the ex-boyfriend, the plaintiff started her daddy hunt, which showed the first 2 contenders were not the father. That left the defendant and the no-name guy in the potential father's run.
So now we're left with Mr. Smith and potential father number 4. Now I remember you saying with potential father number 4, you don't know where he is.
I don't even know his name, Your Honor.
You don't even know his name. Wow.
The irony was that even though Miss Davis believed Mr. Smith was the baby daddy, still, he wasn't her best pick, because the guy was a total mama's boy. Well, you should have considered that before messing around with him. But nonetheless, that guy needed to step up.
You slept with her for a week or more right during the window of conception. So you have to acknowledge that, right?
Yes, Your Honor. But I still feel like he doesn't look like me or favor me whatsoever, Your Honor.
Have you met Javion?
Yes, I only met him once, Your Honor. I felt kind of scared, Your Honor, because I felt like he didn't know me and I felt like a total stranger, Your Honor.
Well, that is how any normal child acts around strangers, sir. I mean, both parents were in the same state. Still, the guy made no effort to connect with his potential child. But in Mr. Smith's opinion, Mommy is a gold digger, only in it for the money. The judge schools him for not being there for him.
What if she just wants to know who her child father is after she admittedly made a lot of mistakes?
Yes, Your Honor. I want to know because I never had a father because he died when I was 3 years old of prostate cancer.
So it is important to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
If it's determined that Javion is your son, I'm sure you want to be there for him.
Yes, Your Honor. I want to make up for the 2 years I missed.
2 years of mystery have brought Javion's mother here, as none of the men filled the paternity void, which left her no choice but to force the alleged for a test. Let's see if the result will end her search.
Mr. Smith, you are not Javion's father.
Wifey here refuses to add another woman's child to her family because she thinks so. Miss McLean is using the one night of passion to pin someone else's baby on them.
You say your daughter is the product of a night of passion gone wrong, and you are certain Mr. Strong is the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, this paternity dispute is the result of a consensual threesome. Yeah, it was a proper mix of confusion. The shocking part was that it was the idea of Mrs. Strong. She convinced her reluctant husband to take such a swing.
We had a threesome, had a good time that night. We discussed everything beforehand of what, possibilities could be.
What possibilities?
She did get pregnant, of which we were under the understanding there was a medical reason she couldn't.
Okay, that was a little hard to comprehend. They had everything planned, so they were very thorough, and it was revealed that they did it more than once, and even continued after the birth.
2.5 to 3 weeks after we had our very first threesome, I found out I was pregnant.
And you said you had 8 of them.
Correct.
So you were still having threesomes with them through your pregnancy?
And after.
Well, it makes sense that she was claiming that Mr. Strong was the father. The only downside was that Miss McLean was dating someone else at the time and ruled him as the father first.
We were, I don't know how to explain it, we were a very passionate couple, I guess. We had intercourse a lot. So I'm not thinking, okay, maybe 1 or 2 times with them.
But 1 or 2 times before you found out you were pregnant?
Right, they would have been the dad. I thought the gentleman I was with at the time was the father.
Further, it was revealed that the other guy was an African man, but the baby looked nothing like him. Plus, he was already tested, and it was proven that he wasn't the father.
So, regardless of race, he's ruled out.
Yes.
Were you there at the hospital when the baby was born?
We didn't know the baby was born. We heard from a third party that she had her. We weren't even notified.
Even after that, the defendant contacted the Strongs right out of the blue, asking them to step up for the baby, which they did, regardless of the obvious doubts in their heart. While Miss McLean explained herself like this.
My daughter has a lot of Douglas's tendencies. Holding on her ears when she's tired or she's frustrated, Douglas does that. His yabba dabba doo feet, the Flintstone feet that he has, my daughter has. His laugh, my daughter has that laugh.
It was the defendant waiting for a while that instigated the dispute, because the couple was stepping up either way. They loved the baby and took her in as theirs.
If this is positive, and they already call her their sister.
That's a beautiful little girl. You opened this case because you said you don't believe.
There's a 50-50 chance because I see a lot of features that could be mine, and then I also see a lot of features that aren't mine. See, I'm part Hispanic family. I mean, I do have a little bit of Irish in me. I mean, I'm just trying to be certain because I grew up without a father.
Regardless of their dynamic, all of them were concerned about the child. The Strong family wanted to be done with every ounce of doubt, as they couldn't shake off the medical accident or another potential daddy part.
She said she had an accident, which we knew about the accident that she couldn't have children from. That's what we looked at. Otherwise, we would have used other protection.
And so once Angel got here, you said this innocent little baby deserves nothing less than our love and our support, and we welcome her into our family.
Yes, Your Honor.
All of this sounds very big to them, right? Well, they wouldn't be in this situation if they hadn't gone for the three-way. So the judge asked Mrs. Strong what made her go for such wild ventures. And the reply was this.
This is fun for you, huh, Ms.
No,
Strong?
it is not fun for me at all.
No, I'm talking about the threesomes.
I'd rather him do it with me than behind my back.
Oh!
Okay. Before they made me look bad, most of the threesomes were her idea.
They were.
That's what I felt like.
That's what I'm saying. Like, before I get look like a jerk or something, like.
So wifey had all the things played out to control her husband. In her mind, every man wants to cheat, but she would rather let him do it in front of her. Wow, quite manipulative, don't you think?
If it's determined that Angel is your husband's biological child, what happens in your relationship? Does the dynamic get weird? What happens?
I have absolutely no issue.
But in this case, the three of you are intimate and the baby was made with you in the bed.
A gift from God is how I'm gonna look at her.
Huh, that's a lot of forward thinking, which was good for the baby girl. I'm not sure how this trio is going to manage. So before going to the envelope, the judge asked the baby mama if they should look out for paternity surprises. Ms. McLean negated. So let's see what happens then.
When it comes to 14-month-old Angel McLean, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Strong, you are not the father.
Scuzzy confusion up in here, as the baby daddy is sure that in light of recent events, it's impossible that he fathered one of Miss Thorpe's twins, and he wants paternity rights for that one daughter. An unusual claim, right? Well, let's see how he chooses to proceed.
Originally, I was believed that both of them was mine. Over time, certain circumstances made me feel like neither were mine. Different things happened that made me believe just London was.
Whereas Imani Thorpe was taken aback by these claims. The woman was sure that he was the father of both twins, and he was acting like a child himself and needed to grow up. Yeah, even the frustration was evident on the defendant's face.
No, he is the father
yes, Your
of
Honor.
both twins.
I was seeing another guy at the time that me and Antoine was talking, but the time matched up to Antoine being the father of both of my kids. Before anything, we were friends, so I don't even understand why he's even putting me through this. I told Antoine that I wanted to be in a relationship with him.
You heard the initial testimonies from both parties, so Miss Thorpe was with another guy, and this instigated the doubt part. The shocker was that even though she was doing it out of spite, the mommy had both men on the same ride, while the plaintiff was convinced of being the father.
I was very, very happy. Like, tour everything. It cost a lot. It was bassinets here, strollers there, car seats, moved her into a family member house during her pregnancy, try to make her as comfortable as possible. She hungry every day. I gotta feed her.
That's the least you could do.
Now you know Mr. Morris and Miss Thorpe's unusual entanglement, and a really wrong DNA testing story also popped up. Turns out that one day, out of the blue, the plaintiff took a home-based DNA test, which showed only one of the girls as his. Nonetheless, Lauren didn't like Mr. Morris playing detective with gadgets and all.
Understand that you didn't even use the swabs right.
I would just hope, I don't know. Like I said, so.
No, you don't. No, I mean, the truth is you don't. You was making something up.
Everything was just confusing, so.
It was.
And I was lost.
The bummer was the defendant had no idea about any of this. The guy totally went back to her and posted the whole thing on social media. What made it worse was that Miss Thorpe wasn't sure at first, too.
Your Honor, on my defense, I was at work at the time. I wasn't able to respond the way that I wanted to respond.
When I got the O, you knew.
But that's no reason to put it on Facebook, though, Your Honor.
No, that is no reason to put it.
At the time, I was more so hurt.
You were being a drama king. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's dramatic.
Next thing you know, Mr. Morris packed up his stuff and abandoned both girls and their mother for almost 18 months, but then decided to come back for his daughter. While he was being the king of drama, it slipped how he got both women pregnant at the same time.
You on team too much all the way around.
Yes, ma'am.
So you had another baby by another woman at the same time.
The same reason when I was telling Imani why I couldn't be in a relationship with her, I was in a long-time relationship with someone else. We was on a break.
If you think both parents mess with other people and neglecting the kids is too much, then you should know that the children called their own father Uncle Twan. None of the participants were ready to take the blame.
You just got too much going on. You done gone through all this only for the children and now call you Uncle Twan?
I didn't tell them to.
Oh, you told them to, Miss Thorpe?
No, Your Honor. They just developed that because he's been around since day one. With him being around so much, they asked was Twan their dad. I told them no.
Now, this is all just about enough to rub anyone hard. I mean, treating children like projects? Hold on. What's wrong with them? Mommy's running after the guy at the podium while he's busy with another mama. You can tell how the judge is gonna react to that.
You know what? It started off messy, the middle was messy, the end is messy. You all should be ashamed. These babies 4 years old sitting up. To be 4 years old and have to sit up and ask two grown adults, is somebody my daddy? Babies got more sense than the mama and the daddy.
Ooh, Lake just rained on their parade. But I mean, hey, they had it coming. It's like, really, how dumb do you have to be to stoop that low? All of this is just beyond words, and the judge was done too. So she called for that envelope.
Really don't know if he's the dad or not.
I feel like he is.
Oh, Lord. A feeling, a feeling, a feeling. We're not talking about feeling. We're talking about facts. Mr. Morris, you are not the father.
This case here is the downright mix of disaster, and it's about to push Judge Lake to the edge, as Mommy accidentally blurted about how she swindled around and wanted a DNA test, because there were 3 men in this paternity mix.
I had sex with 3 different men around the same time my son conceived. I did have a 5.5-month fling with Mr. Scott. I also had a 7.5-year relationship with my ex, and I had a one-night stand with him around the time.
So now all cards are on the table. That's why the judge chose to look at the conception calendar, which had a lot of questionable behavior to show from both sides. Not a very good thing to watch. Still, Mr. Scott went below the belt.
How much did he pay?
Excuse me, Mr. Scott? You gonna be respectful in this courtroom.
Your Honor, this is him. He is a disrespectful man. He is very ignorant. He's all that to me and my son.
Looks like the guy at the podium is pushing his woman into the arms of other men with his own ignorance. In the plaintiff's words, she tried to work on things for almost 5 months, but the guy was too much.
Mr. Scott, I want to understand from your perspective why you are doubtful.
Okay, I'm doubtful because she said out of her own mouth, DNA test. I didn't know nothing about her situation. When she came and told me she was pregnant, I believed her because she's a woman who knows her body, who's supposed to know her body, who knows what she does.
However, Mr. Scott also had his own side of the story lined up. In his defense, he kept in the dark about other potential fathers, because he was playing daddy all of this time, and he'd even signed the birth certificate. Baby mama, on the other hand, refused to play along.
I came to him like a woman and I said, but Josiah might not be yours.
When did you do that?
And he was like, oh, I could have figured that because Josiah, the way Josiah was looking. And he came to the hospital, he looked at Josiah up and down. I'm talking about, he was checking Josiah's ears, his legs, his feet.
Your Honor.
He searched
Your
Josiah
Honor.
from head to toe before he signed that birth certificate.
Miss Hatcher further disclosed that it was the defendant's girlfriend that put doubt in his mind, and he started acting like a buffoon ever since. Listening to this, the judge moved to the other potential father at the stand, who was also confused.
Now, why are you doubtful?
It was a one-night stand.
So you feel like just because it was a one-night stand, your odds
are very slim.
And he also told me that he made his first child off a one-night stand.
I was about to say, it's plenty of people
That's
in
what
this
he
world.
told me. He said it possibly can be.
Your Honor, if the child's mine, I don't have a problem with taking care of mine.
That's good to know.
Next, Hatcher told why she believed that Mr. Blake was the father, because the baby looked more like him. But the boy also resembled Mr. Sneed, and we all know how deceiving those appearances can be.
The thing I'm trying to do is just try to find out who my baby father is, because I know that it's hard. I had moved from a house to having a car to an apartment with no stove, no working refrigerator. You know what I'm saying? And this man, you know, he's homeless, and I let him stay out of my house. I don't want him to be my baby's father because he's 43 years old. He don't want to work.
Though it appeared that the plaintiff was jumping leaps and bounds to compensate the defendant, who was all show and no go, constant insults bugged the judge, as they were not useful.
But you slept with him without protection.
Yeah, I did.
At this point, the insults are irrelevant.
Yeah, it is.
Can I defend myself in a small way?
I've already defended you.
No,
if you would listen
I'm talking
and
about in a
stop
different
talking,
way.
you would already see.
And even Mr. Scott was not ready to be painted as such a villain. As homeless or not, he was taking care of all his children, except for this one, which was because of his doubt. The guy got pretty emotional doing it. And the judge summed it up like this.
Truth be told, when this man stepped up and signed the birth certificate, that's it. Because that's what babies deserve. Their mother and their father in the hospital, when they're born, signing the birth certificate and living their life. Not 2 years later, still sitting up here arguing with eeny, meeny, miny, and no, we don't know this, and she did this, and he did this, talking about nothing.
Come on, you know why Judge Lake runs this place. She made it clear that her courtroom is for children who cannot ask paternity questions, whereas the grown-ups can keep running their charades as much as they want, which is a very good cue for the result.
In the case of Hatcher v. Scott, pertaining to whether Mr. Blake or Mr. Scott is the biological father of 2-year-old Josiah Scott, when it comes to Mr. Blake, you are not the father. When it comes to Mr. Scott, you are the father.
On and off again friends with benefits are stuck in a paternity dispute, and judgment is their only way out, as Miss Lewis wants the defendant to finally take responsibility because denying is not letting off the defendants from the paternity trial that easily. Let's see how the potential daddy chooses to proceed.
Why are you so confident you're not the biological father of Miss Lewis's children?
Because she's a liar, she's a cheater, and I have proof that I'm not the father.
Such testimony made the plaintiff go ballistic. The woman could not imagine that after all the love and favors, Mr. Pippen was selling her out like that. So the judge asked them to put their differences aside and focus on the dispute at hand.
I met him, his mother was a bus driver at my school. One day he came home from the group home and he was riding the bus with her. I was about 15, 16 then. Fast forward, 2009, me and Mr. Pippen got closer. He was dating Miss Sanders, but she doesn't know this. She had a little red truck. He came to my house. I was home by myself. We had sex the very first time in 2009.
So their timeline was a little confusing because of their on and off again dynamic. Moreover, the defendant had a permanent girlfriend on the side, but he was also begging his side chick to bear him a child. And now he has doubts.
Time around when she got pregnant, I wasn't not here, and I wasn't in Greenville at the time when she got pregnant.
Oh, so you're saying it's a timing issue?
Yes, ma'am. I was staying in Tarboro at the time with Miss Sanders.
What did you say? It's a timing issue? Don't rub that around this baby mama, because she has all the dates written and she gave them to the court. Maybe she knew what Mr. Pippen was capable of.
It is your contention, Mr. Pippen, Miss Sanders, that Mr. Pippen wasn't even around?
He wasn't, because he was living with me in Tarboro. In order for him to go to work, I had to take him to work.
Just because you said you were going to me, he won't come home to me?
When we were going back and forth, he hadn't been to Greenville because of his work schedule and my work schedule.
His girlfriend testified that the defendant was with her all the time, which made it impossible for him to get around the miss. But the baby mama had another story lined up. According to her, the guy at the podium was with her and even promised to marry her.
I'm 21 years old. I have not had to figure out what I want to do with my life yet. And here I am about to have a child. He comes to Greenville, where we live at, and he was like, well, what do you want to do? You asked me to have this child. I'm against abortion. So I said, I want him to lay down and have him. I'm going to be a woman to take care of it. He said, well, if that's your choice, I've got your back. I want to be there for you.
Judge Lake was devastated over the fact that a baby was suffering in this situation because the defendant was jumping between both women. And now, playing the victim card and adding a child to that was just outrageous. Let's see what the future results are holding for this kid.
What are you feeling, Miss Lewis?
He don't even like you because you whined on him when he was 7 months old. He said, Dad, 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 Dad. And you whined at the front door and claimed like you never heard him call you.
When it comes to 2-year-old Quayshawn Pippen, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Pippen, you are not.
I told you then. I told you.
Okay, such big claims. And those 5 words. That definitely calls for drama now, doesn't it? But how will Mommy cover up all the shows she put on at the trial? She was confused or just lying on TV? Bad call, Missy.
Calm down, because this is a mess. And yet, you two continue to have a sexual relationship because we have yet another child whose paternity is in question.
So the judge started the same trivia again. as there was another child in question. But this time, there was another potential father, the current boyfriend. Well, time to watch what this guy has to say about the situation.
When she hurt, she cried. I was there with her. When he was born, I cut the neighbor cord. I signed birth certificate, he needed a father. Ever since he had my last name, I bought the boy clothes, shoes, Pampers. Then he got right down when I first fed him. I was there with the boy. That's why people think we favorable. I've been with her ever since then.
So, same behavior, but this time they both were going back and forth between the people. But baby mama was more sure of this one, and she had even named the baby after the defendant. Time for a second envelope.
It has also been determined by this court, Mr. Pippen, you are his father.
Thank you.
I told you.
Then I step up and do what I gotta do. That's what I wanted to know the whole time.
Oh boy, what are these people up to? It's like they can't get enough of just playing with young lives. And if you ask me, I don't think that they're done just yet. Let's see how Judge Lake handles this one.
There are a lot of innocent children involved in this situation. Now, we have resources for you, and you all need to take advantage of them. You all done your dirt. You all done messed up, turned out, back around. This whole thing was such a mess. I could barely understand the story. It was such a mess. Y'all gotta clean this up, all right?
Yes, Your Honor. When your friends pimp you out instead of protecting you, manfall is coming your way. And picking up the wrong friends has landed Miss White in paternity court. The only good thing was that her mother wanted to set things right.
You've been very concerned.
Yes, because my daughter, she's finding love in all the wrong places. She want to feel love. She want boyfriends, but you don't find them like that going on Craigslist. You know, you jeopardizing your life.
The plaintiff was right that her daughter was just finding love in all the wrong places. But the real question was, why was the young White doing so? When the judge asked her about it, the baby mama told the judge how her appearance was affecting her life choices.
You know, people could tell you you're beautiful, you know, but if I don't feel it, I don't feel like it's true.
Is that why you started to sleep with young men? To try to get that feeling of, I'm beautiful, someone loves me?
I wanted all that, and I never got it.
It was evident that all of the unexpected had driven teenagers to the edge of swindling like that. And now there were 3 men in the courtroom, while Christy had no idea who the father of the child was.
You started dating Mr. Clopton as well?
I wasn't dating him. That was just like a one-night stand.
But obviously you slept with them during that same period of conception.
Yes.
Any other men you were with during this time?
There was another guy that I had met at her house also.
Did you sleep with him as well?
Yes, Sean.
All right, this kid messed up badly. Nevertheless, it was high time to get the 2 potentials, too young to be daddies, in. The first one was Mr. Langford. The guy was Miss White's exclusive boyfriend, while the other one was Corey, who had also been intimate with her, while she was fooling around with multiple men.
This other gentleman came in the room.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. White, they're both claiming that they had sex with you on nights when other guys also had sex.
That's untrue.
You had sex with both of them.
Yes, Sean.
During the time of conception.
Yes, Sean.
That was upsetting to watch. A young woman entertaining so many men on the same night? Oof. But anyway, the plaintiff told the court how no one except Mr. Langford tried to be there for Christina. And when the results came in, she was expecting the father to step up for the sake of the child.
You have tried to step up and be a father.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Clopton, have you?
I ain't even know she was pregnant.
You never knew she was pregnant?
No,
that's not true.
Today came and told me.
Now, let's get that toxic best friend in. However, the moment Miss Miller got in, Mommy went off the wall. The plaintiff blamed her for the condition her daughter was in, while Miller brushed it off, saying that she wasn't to be accused of the paternity confusion.
I can't control that because she's
If that's your friend, you could have called me.
That's a grown
You know
woman.
me.
We not children. I can't tell you what to do.
House.
Cause she ain't gotta sleep with these guys. You feel? My mama said I don't feel like. She be like I don't feel like that.
You all can argue back and forth across this aisle, but this is her choice. And she admits that she's sleeping for the wrong reasons.
All the nasty information being thrown around and the blame game going on clearly threw the question of the child's father into the shadows. And we all know how Judge Lake tends to get when such things happen. So here's her reaction.
You're 18 years old, sleeping with men. You all using sex like it's a spectator sport. I don't care if another person in this world ever tells you you're beautiful. One thing's for sure, everybody's beautiful in the bed with their legs in the air. You hear me? That's the okie doke. You get it?
Yes, Sean.
But if you think that judge would let the men go off her leash, then you are wrong. Because they also got a good schooling, Lauren Lake style. That's why she went off like this.
To engage in activity that can produce a human being is the moment you have made the direct or indirect decision that it's time for you to grow up because now you gotta raise somebody.
Yeah.
I can't believe young people your age, and I'm looking at you and you all are people's parent. I'm not laughing, I'm scared.
So, guys fooling around and unintentionally making babies was over. Now, it was time to grow up and to live up to your responsibilities. Judge, please get that envelope and let's figure out which one of these guys daddy is.
Mr. Langford, you are her father.
Told you, bro.
Made you emotional. You happy?
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah. Yes, Your Honor.
Paternity Web. Mr. William had brought Miss Annette to court, accusing her of tricked him into paying child support for her 22-year-old daughter. Meanwhile, Miss Smith asserts that Mr. Eli is the father of her baby girl.
Mr. Williams, you have brought Ms. Annette Smith to court today claiming she scammed you into paying child support on her 22-year-old daughter, Clarissa. You say you use condoms at all times, so you cannot be Clarissa's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Smith, you claim you and Mr. Williams were in a relationship and you are certain he is your daughter's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So the trial begins with a potential father. When Judge Lauren asked him about on which basis he is accusing the defendant of scamming, he asserted that child support is the forge to him, and he is not the father, and was even unaware of the pregnancy.
Why do you believe Ms. Smith has been scamming you all these years?
The scam is the child support. You file child support against me when you don't have proof. I have never signed a birth certificate. I've never been proven that I was the father of the child.
Were you having a sexual relationship with Ms. Smith during the time the child was conceived?
I don't know.
You don't even know?
I don't know.
Even though it was obvious that no one could be scammed into this kind of huge mess without being related, Mr. William did his best to prove that he is an innocent man who has done nothing wrong. In fact, child support has left him devastated.
I've been held to not being able to get to my fullest ability to make a lot of outstanding money.
When I met Eli, he never had a job.
That's what
I paid for everything.
No, that's not true.
Eli had money when he got into a car accident.
Oh my goodness, that's not true.
We had a relationship.
That's not true. We did not have a relationship.
Yes, we did.
And you were intimate with him during the window of time that Clarissa was...
Okay, so the woman stated that they were in a committed relationship and there was no other guy other than him in her life. Mommy played an active role and has confidently made him aware of her pregnancy. But her supposed father consistently reacted like he had lost his memory of Miss Smith's part.
Were boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes.
No.
At the point that you realized you were pregnant. Before that, were you sleeping with anybody else besides Mr. Williams?
No.
When you found out you were pregnant, did you tell him?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What day?
What was his reaction?
The same night.
What day? Night?
Yep.
What night?
Yes, I did.
However, he was acting like a compulsive liar. But looks like his words were not even helping him anymore, as it turned out that he had an opportunity to get a DNA test, but instead of clearing this mismatch, he went ghosted.
When I was on Club with Assistant,
Where
they
you get that
asked
from?
Eli to come down here for the blood test. Eli declined. He didn't want to show up.
When?
You remember?
No, I don't.
When they put you on child
No, I
support,
don't.
when you get AFDC,
No.
they asked you for
Now,
the
I'ma
blood
tell you,
test and he didn't
no,
want to do it.
That's not true. You smashed me. She's in the court reporter, whoever serves papers, to my parents' home.
To the wrong address.
Yes.
Gave the wrong address.
Yes.
As we can see, the plaintiff's testimony was quite shady and confusing, because to save himself, he was playing a defensive show. But what he testifies next is just off limits and nasty, and will surely sweep you off your feet. Why would anyone do this kind of cheap thing?
We ain't never used no condoms, Eli.
What did you used to do with them?
Oh my God.
See,
this is I'll tell you. Why are you doing this?
You never used condoms.
Never.
You say you always used condoms.
As far as I know, always use condoms. What I do know is she used to take my condoms off to the bathroom. I used to lay there.
Oh my God.
She'd take my condom off to the bathroom. I'll take care of that for you. I'll take care of that for you. You never said that.
Huh, that's being to toot one's own horn. If you were responsible, Mr. William, then you would not have waited 22 years to find the truth. So the potential father explained the dumb reason that made him uncertain about him being the father.
I don't think the child looks like me. I don't think she has my characteristics. I don't know nothing about her because I haven't seen her.
When is the last time Mr. Williams saw Clarissa?
98.
All right.
Both plaintiff and defendant's testimony were not helping the judge to understand this battle. So she summoned Clarissa, and she testified that the daddy had been the true definition of a deadbeat dad.
Do you remember him being in your life when you were growing up?
When I was 5, he would call me.
Since then, you don't remember anything?
No.
You have not seen him?
No.
No birthdays?
No.
Father's Day?
No.
Holiday?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Nevertheless, the young girl told the court that this alleged dad had missed out on so many things, and she wanted to have a father figure and fatherly bond in her life. But he didn't bother to be there for her or to be in contact with her.
You missed out on my entire life. I wanted to have a father to brag things about in my academic life, just to have fun with a dad right beside me all the time. Someone to support me. You were never there. I wish you were. We could have had some fun, but no, you weren't never there. You stopped calling me.
This star girl has missed the best and foremost part of her life due to Mr. Williams' doubt and negligence of knowing the truth. As their back and forth squabble was not helping, and the plaintiff's crazy acting was sparking more turmoil even in this conflict, the only way for resolution was to spot the results hiding in the envelope.
Williams versus Smith. When it comes to 22-year-old Clarissa Williams, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Williams, you are her father.
Never let your innocence be the chance for somebody to swindle you, or it may lead you into a fatherhood predicament. Mr. Taylor dragged Miss Jackson in front of Judge Lauren to settle down the heated mess. He claimed that the defendant had made him a buffoon as she was pregnant with someone else's baby, and he was unaware till 9 months.
You say your fiance, Miss Jackson, dropped a bombshell on you when she was 9 months pregnant and told you that you may not be her child's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
She later changed her mind and said you are Raymond's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Raymond is not your biological child.
No.
Ms. Jackson, you are in court today to prove to Mr. Taylor that he is your son's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
The testimony commenced on this note. The alleged baby mama testified that the stakes are high because their relationship is on the verge of breaking. And if today's results prove that he is not the father, then everything between him and his girlfriend will be over for good.
I've been there since day one, raising this kid, fathering the kid, clothing the kid. I do everything for this child. If this child ain't mine, I'll be walking out this courtroom today.
You have a family together, so there is a lot at stake here.
He has a right to doubt it because I gave him the right to doubt it. I feel that he knows how much I care for him. I am praying today that these results show that he is the father of Raymond.
When Judge Lake asked her how did she feel about cheating on his fiance, it turned out that he got ghosted and left her and the kids stranded in the shelter without even informing them about anything. Then why is he creating drama over being deceived when he abandoned his family?
A few years ago, we just packed up and we moved to Florida for a fresh start. And I met Mr. Green. We ended up becoming intimate. Mr. Taylor left me and my children stranded in Florida while he went away to, I guess, chase his dreams. Knowing that we had nobody and knowing that we had nothing. I felt alone and I felt as if I had no one.
Oh my, these guys have dug the hole for themselves intentionally. Watch out for the deranged plot. He left her behind and she found some other guy to comfort her. But despite the fact of her deceiving him, he gave the baby boy his name.
When I called to try to reach for her, she was having an affair with Mr. Green.
Mr. Green was the person that was
what
there
Mr. Green did for you. I've been here taking care of these
Mr. Taylor didn't send
kids.
any money.
Raymond got my last name.
He had, during this job opportunity, he never sent me or the kids any money. We barely had any contact with him. There was no one for me to turn to but Mr. Green. He was the person there for me, giving me emotional support.
Further, Mr. Taylor contended that Miss Jackson got intimate with the other man right after she left. That precipitated the argument, but baby mama got this point as she advocated they would not have been in this situation if the plaintiff had acted mindful.
After Mr. Taylor left for Atlanta, did you turn to Mr. Green?
A few weeks.
3 days later, she was pregnant by October 12th. I left September 14th. That was less than a month.
No,
That's a lie.
I didn't do it right away.
Ooh, I'm so mad.
If he would have never left us there in the first place, this whole situation could have been avoided.
The plaintiff stated the facts that made him certain about not fathering the child, and said that he was unaware of her being pregnant with someone else's baby till 9 months. And then someone on Facebook hit him and dropped the bomb. He is not the father.
He inboxed me, but I confronted her about it.
We didn't have a lot of contact with each other. I was still having a lot of, emotional depression over our relationship.
Facebook contact saying it was Umar Jr. though.
So the defendant went down on the emotional lovey-dovey show and stated that she did not tell him because she loves the alleged baby daddy. But the man cut off her show and revealed that Mr. Green was not accepting the child, and she is just trying to make him adult.
How do you tell somebody that you love that you did them so wrong,
You love somebody, how much you want to do them.
Everybody makes mistakes,
That big
Your
of
Honor.
a mistake.
Everyone makes mistakes, even though my mistake was a great mistake. And if I could take it back, I would, Your Honor, but I can't. And I'm praying that he is the father.
For better understanding and to create some sense, Judge Lake summoned Mr. Green to the podium and asked about the particular situation. And his testimony favored the baby mama like this.
I met her in the shelter. She told me that he had left her for a rap career in Atlanta, just left and didn't want nothing to do with her, had nothing to do with her, didn't want to take care of the kids. So I'm sitting there and I feel bad. Right? So I was sitting there, I said, feel bad. She got 2 kids. So I sat there and I felt bad. We vibed, and then I was going through stuff with my baby mom at that time. Then it got to a physical level.
From cheating to being caught red-handed, it revealed that she got back with the plaintiff as soon as she was kicked out of the Greens' house. And instead of repenting the situation, Miss Jackson continued being a maniac and shouted to her core to prove her points.
We got in an argument, everything went downhill from there. After that, she had to go. I'm not gonna lie, took stuff, put it outside.
This man is crazy. I left, Your Honor. After the argument, it wasn't that he put me out and put my stuff out.
How did you end up back with Mr. Taylor then?
When I went back to Michigan, we ended up talking and we got back together.
Oh my. Even though they all knew that every move they played made them one step closer to the chaotic situation, they didn't stop. And it led to someone's baby and gave someone else his surname. Because the real father was the actual deadbeat daddy.
So you did get a text that asked, can I name the child?
Bothered me for 2 years trying to get this.
I haven't had any contact.
On my Facebook right now, our message you trying to ask me to get DNA test. Stop stunting on me.
If you know that you're a potential father, why wouldn't you want to take a DNA test to see if this your child? That's deadbeat status.
However, their testimony revealed so many secrets one after another, and they made some sort of sense to the paternity conflict. But still, the DNA results were the only way to identify the whole truth. So, let's get those results.
When it comes to 3-year-old Raymond Taylor, as to whether his biological father is Mr. Taylor or Mr. Green, it has been determined by this court. His biological father is Mr. Green.
I figured. If that's mine, that's good.
Is $2 and a cigarette worth producing a baby? Miss Butts arrived in the court holding the paternity dispute, saying she had a brief but head-over-heels relationship with Mr. Richardson, who had first acknowledged the paternity of her son, and now, when his mom interjected the doubt, they ended up here.
Mr. Richardson, you claim Ms. Butts is a promiscuous woman of questionable moral standard who has a history of attaching herself to whatever man will take her in.
Yes, Your Honor.
You and your mother say there is no way you fathered Ms. Butts' child, and you intend to prove that today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So the trial begins with the mother's testimony. She stated that the defendant is denying the baby because his mother has manipulated him. Meanwhile, the alleged baby daddy told another story that'll blow your mind like this.
Your Honor, I met her on the corner and gave her $2 and a cigarette. She came back with me. I know I got game, but I didn't invent it. The next man gave her $5 and what? 3 cigarettes.
However, it was slipped that Mr. Richardson had seen the baby 3 times only, even though he embraced and admitted the baby during the pregnancy. But he refused the whole mom's story. I think he doesn't even know that no one is entertaining his clowning act.
I never said he looked like
Yes, it is.
Ignorant, but that's not the only reason why I said that boy was not my grandson. He looks nothing like his other 2 children. He looks nothing like anybody in our family.
That baby looks like my baby.
Oh my, so that's where things went south. During her pregnancy, he got busted. And when he came out, the cheating bombshell dropped on him. He alleged that Miss Butts was busy with another, and he must be the father.
I went away for a couple months, Yana.
Yep.
And guess where she was at?
I moved on.
With another dude.
What part of the scenario were we in?
I went away for a couple months. When I got back out, I'm trying to get in contact with her because I remember her telling me she's pregnant. I want to know if the baby's mine. Where she said, I said, I want to see you. She with another dude. That's got to be the father.
When you got back, she's with another guy.
Yes.
Were you with another guy, Miss
Yes,
Butts?
I was. Up next, it was disclosed that he was not there when the baby was born. But after 1 month, he met him and started to claim that baby waiter is his. And once again, he put on his stupid show of denial and declared the mother as liar.
When you gave birth, what happened? Did you let him know? Was he there? He wasn't there, not at all. I let him know I gave birth. I brought my son to him. My son was a month old.
Another man's baby.
He met me outside. As soon as he see my baby, oh, this is my young bull. He look just like me. This is my young bull.
When did I ever say that? You just a
Mom,
liar.
your grandbaby here.
So folks, have you ever seen an exhibit portraying when a woman does not know who the father is, she leaves it blank? To support his claims, he brought some new sort of evidence. Let's peep at his creativity.
Mr. Richardson, you brought an exhibit.
Yes, I did. When a woman doesn't know who the father is, doesn't she leave the birth certificate blank?
And so this is a sample of the birth certificate.
Right.
And you say when a woman doesn't know who the father is, you leave the father's name blank.
She knows who the father is. It's not my name. It's not my name.
So you're saying she put another man on the birth certificate?
Exactly.
Another man's name on his birth certificate. This is dubious. But no worries, as the baby mama explained to the court why she had put the other man's name on the birth certificate. However, yeah, it's obvious. No one wants a deadbeat dad for her baby.
Why is it you deliberately put another man's name on the birth certificate?
Because that man I was with, and he took care, like he didn't take care of me, but he was there for me the whole pregnancy, doctor's appointments. He was there with me through everything. He made sure I was all right during my pregnancy, something he should have been doing.
Right, and
he tried to name my son needs a father.
But you do understand.
I can put him in line. My son won't even know who he is, for real, for real.
Yeah, it does not sound good from any perception. The baby's now 3 and doesn't know who their dad is. But the good part is, mommy played a dual role and is both parents. Praise her for this, please.
Everybody needs a father, especially boys need a father. He's 3 years old. My baby's growing up. By the time he get in his life, he gonna know everything. He gonna be just getting sharp on his things. He done missed a whole lot.
And that bothers you?
It does bother me, because my baby's a phenomenal kid, smart, intelligent, personality is amazing. You don't have to be in his life. That's an amazing child. Like, he will bring a whole lot of joy to your life. You got a bad day, he knows how to bring you up.
Even though Judge Lauren heard a lot about their testimony, their never-ending disagreements and arguments were making things more complicated. Things were all over and not getting to the point of resolution. So the only way was to get those results.
In the case of Butts versus Richardson, when it comes to 3-year-old Quatier Butts, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Richardson, you are the father.
Sorry! Look at my handsome baby.
So, Ms. Lacio, what is the state of your relationship exactly?
I'm here today to save our family. I'm here today to show Jacob that he is the father of our 7-month-old daughter, Aubrey, that I've made a mistake, but I know he is the father of Aubrey.
See, Arbery was not just a child, but a glue in their marriage with her. Out of the picture, there was nothing left in this couple's marriage, and the alleged father made it clear to the courtroom, hoping that the baby girl was his. Mr. Abbott proceeded like this.
She told me she was pregnant. We were very excited. I told family members. Our family members started buying her maternity clothes and so forth. She had like a guilty conscience, and then that's when she told me she had messed up. She had slept with the other dude, that this could possibly not be my child.
Just imagine what pain that revelation had that news caused to the excited father. But it was very true. Apparently, the baby mama was messing with both men around the Easter weekend, and that is when little Aubrey was conceived. So when the judge asked about it, she told Lake how it got down.
We were supposed to have like this great Easter weekend and go camping and everything, and I don't remember why we were fighting, but we were in an argument. So when I was hanging out with one of my friends and I reached out to another guy, and whenever I reached out to him, we ended up hooking up. We hooked up one time, and then I was back together with Jake.
So she hooked up with both men at the same time? You heard her right, which is just about the right amount to make paternity drama. Hold up, this wasn't just it, as he had already been with that guy before, but kept the things hidden to save her family. However, it didn't go for long as her husband found the truth.
I wasn't gonna lose my family over one horrible choice that I made. And after that, Jacob started with always thinking I was cheating, always thinking I was up to no good.
Jacob had got so paranoid that he tracked his wife everywhere she went. Lassio told the court how GPS was messed up and pointed out wrong things to her husband, which further perpetrated his doubts.
And there's been times with the GPS, I've been asleep in bed and he's been up checking it, and the GPS will say, I'm down the street when I've been in bed sleeping. So how are you gonna believe a GPS if I've been in bed sleeping and it says I'm down the street? If it's done it once, how am I gonna say, I don't know why it says I'm over there?
Even though the difference between the two men was days apart, Ms. Lassio's heart is set on the defendant being the father. This part bugged the judge hard, as we know that DNA doesn't work like that. And lying and manipulating don't change the facts that Lake mouthed well to the plaintiff.
You know conception does not require intention.
Yeah.
You understand? How do you know that this other man is not your baby's father?
The way that Jake is with her, I believe that's only something a father and daughter can have. I know there's step-parents out there that have great relationships with their children.
So she spilled out that it was about the love and attention her daughter was getting from the alleged after. She didn't want to lose. That's why she doesn't believe that the other man can be her father. FYI, the other guy was clearly doing nothing to do with her daughter, which made Mr. Abbott the only option. Let's see if the results live up to her feelings.
I didn't want to mess up his life by having him put his name on a birth certificate. If she wasn't his, that wouldn't be fair to him and it wouldn't be fair to her.
Mr. Abbott, you are not her father. I'm so sorry.
Mr. Brown knew that he wasn't the father of his oldest daughter, but he played along because his ex-wife was adamant and he didn't want to lose her and his children. But now her daughters are in a paternity feud. Yeah, I know that's new. And the only situation to end this sister's feud is the DNA.
And when Olivia came into this world, they handed her to me. And for all of her life, I am her father. And I told her mama, you need to sit her down and talk with her and try to work on this here and let her know the truth. If it's not, we had our problems. I know we fought. We had ups and downs with our arguments and breakups. But I loved Angel and I loved the kids.
However, too many people were putting doubts in his daughter's head that she wasn't related to her sibling, as she had a different dad. This made the young woman run to her mother, asking for awareness. Sadly, her mother admitted that she was with more than one man at that time, and that she kind of fooled her father the whole time.
Did you tell your daughter that there were 2 possible men that could be her father?
Yes, Your Honor. What happened? Me and my other sponsor I had before him was together for 7 years. And then after that, I got with him.
But in her defense, she knew that she conceived after getting with Mr. Brown, and for he had always been with the father. As for the mister, he had known the woman since childhood, so he believed every word she said. That not being the father was never his doubt.
When she told me she was pregnant and she said Olivia was mine, I believed that in my heart.
You also say you remember those rumors.
I told her aunties, all her cousins, y'all need to stop saying that to that girl. And I've been telling that. When that girl was 6, 7, 8 years old, I always say, don't say that to her.
Mr. Brown told the court he was told to take the DNA before this, but he never wanted to take it because he was threatened by his wife about losing his daughter, which was too hard for him to bear. So he kept avoiding it for this long.
I told Angie I wanted a DNA test a few times.
Yeah.
And you told me, wait a minute, if you get a DNA, if you get a DNA test and it come back negative, you would never see her again. So I said, don't worry about it. Yeah, you did. You was a lie.
It further revealed that Miss Brown's mother also had an affair with her uncle, and this had drifted both brothers apart, while the ex-wife had no remorse about it. Mr. Brown further told the court he had found another man hiding in his closet. Still, he ignored all the things for the sake of his children.
I said, bro, you can go. Me and her first, we argued, and she me and her first. I left, we got back together. That's how much I love this woman. Even through that, her sleeping with my brother, I still got back with her. You know why? I love them, and I wanted this to work. No matter what it took, this is what I want.
So, both parents didn't want the DNA truth? Then why was Miss Brown in Lake's court then? Well, because she was tired of her own sister rubbing paternity in her face. That's why the judge called another Miss Brown to testify the reason behind her actions.
The person that told your sister that he wasn't her father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, how is it that you know that?
Your Honor, I'm not sure, but you can look at both of us. Look at me and my father.
We look
Andrea
is a hater.
We look
Andrea
just
is
like
jealous
hater.
of me.
I'm not
Ms.
jealous
Brown,
of
you gotta let her
neither,
talk.
am I a hater?
Wow. The animosity between both sisters was just clear. Neither one was ready to cut each other slack, which bugged the cause they were family either way. However, Miss Brown told the judge it's her older sister's treatment toward his father that stung her. And she wants to prove that she doesn't deserve her.
She needs to find her own daddy and claim him.
Just
because
like you,
my
my
dad
mom.
is my dad. Only time she talks to you is when she wants something.
I don't have to talk
Other
to
than
my
that,
dad every day.
she's not calling you. She don't have your number.
I got a
In
job.
order for you to get in touch with her, you gotta go through me.
Maybe Miss Brown is not a big person. That doesn't mean she takes her father for granted, or that she should be ignored by Mr. Brown. Does that make sense? Either way, they are here for the DNA test, and there were many men involved. That's why, let's just skip to the results.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows as it relates to the paternity of Ms. Olivia Brown. Mr. Brown is not your father.
I'm sorry, baby.
A marriage is on the verge of falling apart when Mr. Elston had to come to the court again with the paternity doubt of Mrs. Elston's newborn child. However, the supposed baby's dad found out that another man was the father. Now, the only easy-to-know truth is to get the DNA test proof. Let's move to the plaintiffs and determine if they will be able to break this cycle or not.
Mr. Elston, you recently moved out of your home due to paternity doubts, and you are convinced you are not Kaysen's father either. Ms. Elston, I'll start with you. You're in desperate need to save your marriage.
On the procession of trial, it was revealed that the paternity issue pertaining to little baby Carson has caused a lot of damage to the couple's marriage. And even the defendant has moved out of the house and left his family alone. Let's hear the alleged baby daddy's testimony.
When Carson came back not mine, it did, it hurt my feelings, but I still stepped up and was a father to him. So I'm just trying to get the honest truth. They look alike to me, so they must have the same father. And the baby names are, identical, and it's something here that she's not telling me, so.
Just played crazy to make Mr. Elston just to push his angry button. What kind of stupid excuse is this? Even Judge Lauren had enough of her insane behavior, and she gave her a reality check like this.
You go right for the low blow and say you're not the father, and I slept with your boy, and now I'm just gonna put you on child support, and then expect that that's not going to negatively affect your marriage and your relationship.
Judge Lake cut the chase off, and we are all on her side. Whereas the testimony wasn't helping to resolve this conflict. And the only way was to get the DNA test results. Let's find out if baby dad will get the happiness and relief he has been longing for.
In the case of Elston versus Elston, when it comes to 1 month old Kaysen Elston, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Elston, you are the father.
No one wants their grown daughter walking down to ask for a paternity test, but Mr. Doris is that unfortunate father, whose child, after all those years, refuses to believe he is her father. Let's see how the old man is holding up.
I was at the hospital when she was born. I got the birth certificate. And
I'd like to see that. This is a certificate of birth for Diane Doris, and you're listed as father. What are these pictures of, Mr. Doris?
Me and her.
The defendant is clearly a full-blown father. I'm sure he's grandpa by now. Nonetheless, Miss Sams had her own reasons for acting this way. Apparently, her doubt was rooted in rumors of an incarnated man being her father.
And my uncle said to me, "How's your daddy doing since he got out of prison?" So I said, "What do you mean? My dad's never been in prison." I said, "Who do you think my daddy is?" And he said the other man's name. We were having some drinks. So I was just, we were sitting at my grandmother's house at the time.
This instantly plaintiff played no head to them, but when she was diagnosed with a genetic disease that didn't run in either side of her family, her doubts began to tickle, and her mother asking for a DNA test acted like a last nail in the paternity coffin.
I need you to help me and do this test for me. It is so important. I just need to know.
Mr. Doris, what was the nature of your relationship with Miss Sam's mother?
I met her at a bar, and we just clicked right off the bat. I think we were together like 3 months, and we ended up getting married.
This was more than just finding out how her biological life was. I mean, she did have a dad. This was about the genetic dilemma Miss Sam was stuck in. The Omaha woman told the court about her suspicion about her mother being pregnant before she got with Mr. Doris.
She's saying you got married almost 2 years later.
I have the marriage certificate. I have their marriage certificate and divorce decree that she didn't divorce until April of 1979. This is why I have so many doubts.
Mr. Doris was off 2 years of the plaintiff's birth, and this was eating Sam up. She knew there was something left unheard. Even the judge could see her frustration across the room, but the alleged victim was having a hard time digesting such revelations after 33 years of his fatherhood, to which his daughter responded like this.
It's the biggest confusing mess ever. My mom was married 7 times and was single the last 10 years of her life. I have several siblings. It's just crazy.
Whoa, it was a crazy mess, filled with a web of lies, entangled both father and daughter. And it was about to get messier, as Miss Sams showed proof of her own birth certificate being amended by her mother after she passed away. Yeah, that's something you never want to stumble on.
Not to see an amended document.
I know I was there when you were born, and I know
That doesn't mean...
What she told me, she was not sleeping with anyone else.
Your mom told him there was no one else. It's just all he knows. It's the information he has.
So, the old guy doesn't want to believe anything other than that Miss Sams was his. He was not ready to let things go the other way, but the truth has to be unfolded. That's why the judge called in the plaintiff's uncle, who also testified that her sister was pregnant before she had met the guy at the podium.
And is that during the time when she was with this other gentleman?
This is right after he had gone to jail.
The other man would have been in prison when I was born, okay? However, he was not incarcerated during the time that I would have been conceived. That's the only thing he and I can come up with because nobody's ever told me or told him.
Even the defendant's face showed that he was very confused, and it was hard to see coming from his own daughter, who in her defense didn't want to do it with another man, but was just looking for an answer because of the desire she was carrying genetics.
Especially from Mr. Hooper. You are hereby ordered to go immediately, submit to a paternity test, and return to this courtroom where I will read you the results. Are we clear?
Thank you, Your Honor.
After listening to both sides, the judge realized how necessary a DNA test was. So, she asked for both participants to be swapped for the DNA test. When the result got in, they were brought back, and the results were red.
Mr. Doris, you are not her father.